Hi, I'm Leah Kim, now 31. 5 years back, I ditched Seattle, never regretting it. I excelled as a backend developer for a top-tier cybersecurity company, handling crucial projects for big banks and government bodies. I wasn't merely competent. I was indispensable, resolving problems others couldn't fathom. Yet outside that office, I was invisible, especially to my kin. We'd been estranged since 2016. Consequently, when my phone vibrated on a peaceful October 2023 evening, I was floored to see my cousin's name, Rachel, the sole person knowing my current contact. "Leah," she whispered, "your parents are desperately trying to connect with you. They're insisting you return home for Christmas." I slowly sank onto the edge of my cramped Brooklyn apartment bed. "Now?" I choked out. "After all these years, they've been actively searching," Rachel confirmed, "and they sound incredibly earnest." I ended the call, my gaze fixed on the wall. I hadn't truly considered my family in months, or rather, years, but the memories surged back with an overwhelming force. The perpetual outsider, never the favored child. I vividly recalled the chilling embrace of a cold office chair at 13, my knees drawn tight against my chest, as Dr. Patel, my child psychologist's stark revelation, Leah's struggles stem not from isolation, but from neglect. My mother, dismissive, proclaimed equal love, a blatant falsehood. My elder brother Dylan, the epitome of golden boy success, charming football star, class president, received a car on his 16th. My own gift? A thrift store sweater, perpetually redolent of another's life. Dylan's gifts gleamed beneath the tree. Mine were mere afterthoughts. Yet this year, a change was afoot. They were finally calling me back, and they held no. The idea of who I'd become solidified during family gatherings, always a nightmare. Dylan would command the room, loud, charming, and magnetic, while I'd fade into the background, unnoticed, like mere furniture. That's when I discovered coding. It began with a faded flyer plastered on the high school bulletin board. Intro to Computer Science Club, Room 27, Thursdays after school. I attended once, and from then on, I never missed a session. For the first time, I felt truly seen, not by people, but by the intricate logic of code. The club transformed into my sanctuary. We'd resurrect old PCs from junkyard scraps, swap coding books, and passionately debate compilers. I was diligently debugging our shared projects, even crafting my inaugural game on a borrowed laptop. Our teacher, Mr. Alvarez, once approached me, remarking, "Leah, you possess a unique talent. Never let anyone diminish your potential by 17%. My ambition was clear: to depart Seattle, having secured college admissions, and forge my own path. Dylan, naturally, was already immersed in studies at a prestigious California university, backed by my parents' complete financial backing. Then, during a pivotal Thanksgiving dinner, my father toasted Dylan, expressing immense pride in his Stanford achievement. Cheers erupted as Mom added, "As for Leah, we're encouraging her to find steady work." My uncle chimed in, "We're hiring dishwashers at the diner." The whole table roared with laughter, including my parents. I remained silent, a secret smile playing on my lips, as they were unaware I'd already secured a full scholarship to a prestigious tech program in New York. Tuition, housing, and even a stipend, all covered. I quietly packed my bags and moved into a Manhattan dorm, working part-time as a waitress. I graduated top of my class and landed my dream job at a cutting-edge cybersecurity firm before the ink was even dry on my offer letter. 4 years post-diploma, I'd spearheaded a multi-million-dollar integration for a global bank. The bonus? Enough to snag a brownstone. Within days, a realtor unearthed it. The perfect Fort Greene brownstone condo. 2 bedrooms, a sleek kitchen, exposed brick, and steps from the park. At 31, I officially became a homeowner, just 2 weeks before Christmas. My housewarming was intimate, featuring only my true friends, the ones who'd witnessed my all-nighters, my code-induced tears, and my unwavering daily grind. We celebrated on floor cushions, savoring Thai takeout. Cheap wine flowed, a soundtrack of laughter echoing amidst unpacked boxes. Lisa, raising her glass to Leah, proclaimed, "The quiet one, who transformed silence into sheer power." Our glasses clinked. A smile touched my lips, yet a potent thought persisted. In a week, I'd be heading home. But this wasn't a return as the invisible girl. This was a homecoming as someone acutely aware of her inherent value. The week preceding Christmas, I carved out time, meticulously wrapping simple yet heartfelt gifts before embarking on the 6-hour drive back to my childhood haven in North Seattle. The old house, however, seemed to have weathered time poorly, its siding faded, its grounds overgrown. Hedges and a porch light that flickered like a fading echo. I rang the doorbell with a tremor in my hands. Footsteps, then the door creaked open. "Leah?" My mother blinked. "Wow, it's really you." She gave me a brief, stiff hug. "You look different." Inside, the familiar scent of aged wood polish, stale air, and that ever-present bowl of dried potpourri enveloped me. Conversation ceased as all eyes turned my way. "Well, look who finally graced us with her presence," someone muttered. "Is she wearing sweats?" another whispered. I glanced down at my tailored black slacks. A designer coat screamed quiet luxury, but it was clearly lost on this crowd. Then Dylan emerged from the kitchen, beaming, "Everyone, this is Mia, my wife." He gestured at her belly. "Your future niece or nephew." "Congratulations," I said. He smirked, still coding in a corner somewhere. Laughter rippled. I felt my jaw tighten. "I work in tech," I replied calmly. "If you've ever returned home with more power than they imagined, hit subscribe because the next part of the story is where everything changes." "Deck, huh?" Dylan smirked. "Like fixing printers or—" Handling calls at the help desk, he sought out Mia. Leah, always the quirky one, was likely holed up in some basement. I simply offered a faint smile, a subtle acknowledgement. "Dinner's almost ready," Mom announced, clapping her hands. "Leah, set your things down. Dylan's commandeered your old room as his office, so you'll be crashing on the couch, naturally." "Of course I would be," I murmured. The evening dripped with subtle condescension. Aunt Nora cornered me by the uninspiring punch bowl. "Your brother's launching his own business. Such a visionary. And you're still—" "Software development is crucial, and I'm the one crafting it," I responded. She puckered her lips, noting, "Well, someone must handle the mundane tasks." Uncle Mike chimed in during dinner preparations. "The dishwasher gig at my diner still needs filling. It's minimum wage, but it's honest work." I politely replied, "Thanks, but I excel at dinner service." They seated me at the table's far end, adjacent to the kitchen entrance. Predictably, Dylan commandeered the attention. "This innovation will revolutionize everything," he proclaimed. "We simply require the initial startup capital." "How much?" Dad inquired. $200,000 to get the ball rolling," Dylan stated nonchalantly, nearly causing me to spit out my water. Every predictable, failed startup pitch I'd ever encountered mirrored this scene. "We'll figure something out," Mom reassured, patting his hand. "Family support, indeed." After dinner, she presented me with a blanket, indicating the couch. Christmas morning arrived with Dylan and Mia, a whirlwind of excited energy, descending the stairs like excited children, their presents stacked high. They eagerly unwrapped mine, filled with luxurious, carefully selected gifts. "Leah, these are absolutely stunning," Mom exclaimed, admiring her new bag. However, When it was my turn, a shocked gasp escaped Mom's lips, far too loud this time. "Leah, we completely forgot." Dylan erupted into laughter, the very same infectious giggle from our childhood. "Don't cry this time," he smirked. "You're an adult now." Something shifted within me. Not sadness, not anger, just sheer clarity. "I'm not going to cry," I stated, my voice steady. Reaching into my purse, I continued, "Actually, I bought myself a pretty incredible gift this year." I pulled out my keychain, holding it up. The brushed steel gleamed as it caught the light. Mom frowned. "What's that?" "Ease," I replied, a newfound confidence in my tone. "To my new apartment. I closed on it last week." A heavy silence descended. Dad blinked, incredulously. "You bought an apartment with money?" I asked, incredulous. "From my job. My company just licensed My robust security framework for a leading international bank garnered a significant payout. A cool $150,000 after taxes. The room fell silent. Mom's narrowed gaze questioning, "How solid?" I simply shrugged. The revelation stunned everyone. Dylan's jaw dropped. Mia's eyes widened, and my parents stared as if I'd confessed a clandestine double life. $150,000, with not a penny left over, Mom echoed, her voice climbing. "What kind of career offers bonuses like that?" I calmly reiterated. "As I mentioned, I'm a software developer, specializing in crafting enterprise security systems for Fortune 500 clientele." Dad leaned forward, intrigued, asking, "How long? Have you been commanding this kind of income?" "Since graduation, the bonuses have shifted, but my salary's been 6 figures for quite some time." That's when the switch flipped. Mom stood up, all sunshine and sugar. "Sweetheart, why didn't you tell us? We're so proud of you." Dad chimed in. "Dylan, did you hear that? Your sister works with Fortune 500 companies." Dylan's jaw clenched. Mia leaned in, whispering something into his ear. Mom perched beside me. "So, tell us about this apartment. How many bedrooms?" 2 bedrooms, 2 baths. Fort Greene, close to work." Beaming, I declared, "We absolutely must visit family. We should stick together." I almost burst out laughing, thinking of family after 8 long years of silence. "Actually," I said, standing firm, "I've got a rather epic drive ahead." Mom reached for my arm, her voice gentle. "You just arrived. Stay a while." Dad nodded in agreement. "We haven't even begun to discuss your career." As I packed, hushed and urgent whispers reached me, their voices a tense murmur. When I descended the stairs, suitcase in hand, they were all waiting, their eager, strained smiles already setting off alarm bells. "Before you head out," Dad said, stepping forward, "we really need to talk about Dylan's business opportunity. You mentioned he needs some seed capital to kickstart his venture." Dylan grinned condescendingly, declaring it a prime investment where I'd be in on the ground floor. "How much?" I demanded bluntly. "A mere $200,000, he asserted. "With what you earn, that's a trifle, right?" I gazed at them. My parents who once scoffed when Uncle Mike offered me a menial dishwashing job, my brother who'd spent a lifetime ridiculing me, and his wife who'd snickered along just yesterday morning. "No," I said, and their smirks vanished. "What do you mean, no?" Mom bristled. "I mean, I'm not funding you." "No money, just family," Dad declared, as if the word held any substance. I folded my arms. Where was this family when I was abandoned post-graduation, or when Dylan's college was funded while I was left to fend for myself? "That was different," Mom chirped. "We had no funds then." "You had money for Dylan," I insisted. "Dylan showed promise," she snapped, then faltered. "We thought work would empower you." I grabbed my bag. "I'm gone." "You selfish brat," Dylan exploded. After all this family. What have you done for me? I asked. Nurture me, sustain me. That's parental duty, not charity. And you ensured I understood I was unwanted. I approached the door as they followed, their protests trailing. You'll regret this, Mom bellowed. I won't, I declared, and meant it. By the time I reached the highway, my phone was ablaze with calls, texts, and guilt trips. I silenced them all. At a rest stop back in Brooklyn, I sipped a glass of wine, observing the city's luminous glow from my balcony. Sarah texted, "Heard what happened. Sorry about them." "Don't be," I replied. "This was the best gift they ever gave me. Freedom." She sent back a laughing emoji. "Your mom's telling everyone you're ungrateful." "Let her," I wrote back. That night, I slept better than I had in years. The next morning, I woke to a flood of messages, but not from my parents or Dylan. These were from aunts, uncles, and cousins I hadn't spoken to in years. "Your mother told us what happened. How could you abandon your family? Dylan is trying to build something. You should support him. We always knew you were selfish." One by one. I blocked them. Every name, every guilt trip vanished, except for Sarah, who called that afternoon. "Jesus, Leah," she sighed. "The whole family's imploding. Your mom's been calling everyone, spinning tales that you're loaded, and refusing to help Dylan." "Good for her," I said dryly. "She's telling people you've forgotten your roots." "Of course she is. God forbid they ever admit their neglected daughter actually achieved something." Sarah's voice softened. "I'm proud of you, for what it's worth." "It's worth a lot," I told her. "You're the only one I care about." "Sarah, are you truly all right cutting everyone else off?" I inquired gently. "I severed ties 8 years ago," I replied. "This merely made it official." That evening, I met my friends at our cherished haunt in Fort Greene, a quaint wine bar adorned with well-loved leather seating and twinkling fairy lights draped above the bar. I recounted my entire story. "Good riddance," exclaimed Lisa. "They sound utterly toxic." "Do you think you'll miss them?" another friend queried. I pondered this. "No," I declared. "I believe I've been grieving the family I never had. This has simply closed that chapter." I raised my glass to my chosen family. To chosen family. "Family," they echoed, beaming as we raised our glasses. My phone vibrated with an unknown number. I silenced it. 6 months later, summer had bathed the city in golden sunlight. I sat on my balcony, coffee warming my hands, watching the morning awaken below. It felt like finally stepping out of a dense fog I hadn't known I was lost in. Sarah still called weekly, not out of obligation, but genuine care, sharing updates. "Jake's daughter arrived last month," she informed me. "Madison," I replied, a genuine warmth in my voice. "That's wonderful." I truly hoped that little girl would experience a love far greater than what I had known. Sarah, Dylan, and Mia were still residing with my parents. Their ambitious startup ventures remained a constant topic of conversation, even to the point where extended family members grew weary of the incessant updates. Apparently, my parents had transformed my perceived betrayal into their cherished sob story at every family reunion, portraying me as the ungrateful daughter who had simply vanished, disregarding all their sacrifices. Meanwhile, my own life had taken a remarkable turn, one I wouldn't exchange for anything. 3 months after that calamitous Christmas, I serendipitously met Ethan at a cozy coffee shop near my office, a talented freelance designer with an undeniably gentle smile. With profound respect for boundaries, he grasped the tech world and, crucially, the power of walking away from a toxic family, a path he'd also navigated. Work was booming. I'd been promoted to lead systems architect for a major AI security integration. The salary bump was substantial, but the real thrill came from the liberty to forge something truly groundbreaking. My team valued me, my concepts resonated, and I was finally constructing the life I'd envisioned from a dingy couch in my parents' basement just a month prior. Dylan, somehow, got hold of a new number and called. "Hey, Leah," he said, awkwardly chipper. "Thought we could catch up." "What do you want?" I asked, hurrying. "Madison should meet her aunt. Things are tight right now. Mom and Dad's house needs work." "No, you don't even know how much." "Doesn't matter," he exploded. I hung up, blocked the number, and as I sat there in my own apartment, sipping coffee beside Ethan, I felt nothing but peace. Everything they said, I'd never have love, stability, success, I built on my own terms. Sarah later mentioned they were turning my old bedroom into a nursery. This space finally feels like home, unlike that past room which never truly resonated. They persisted, reaching out via distant relatives and family connections. Aunt Nora's voicemail remains my peculiar favorite. "Family is forever, Leah," she pleaded, but my decision was made. I had already severed ties, and there was no turning back. Ethan and I are eagerly anticipating our Japanese adventure next month. We've been immersed in language learning, meticulously charting temples and bookmarking delectable noodle havens. Sarah messaged, "Mom saw your post. She says it's typical you'd prioritize vacation over family obligations." My response was simple. Good. Maybe she'll finally grasp it. This week I was ascended to head of engineering, securing a top 1% salary. My boss declared, "This promotion is unequivocally yours." We toasted with friends, and Lisa quipped, "Your mom likely felt your bank account surge that very night." Ethan popped champagne on the balcony, inspiring me to propose, "Let's buy a house, one with ample space, a yard, perhaps even a dog." Just then, my phone buzzed with a message from Sarah. "Mom suspects you're a drug lord." I'm embracing my narrative, letting others spin theirs. If invisibility within your family resonates, share your journey in the comments. Tell me what you left behind and the peace you cultivated. Your support affirms I'm not isolated, and perhaps you need that too. My counsel: grant yourself permission to prioritize your well-being. Construct a life that mirrors your intrinsic value, not external pressures. If this resonates, subscribe.